Visit us at www.pinoygamer.ph and like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PinoygamerPH.
So in a couple of minutes of the rotation, you're going to talk to Mark Johns and to Chris Chan, who manage esports for the region. But just on a high-level perspective, the short answer is yes. We want to think about how we make all of our games at esports throughout the week. What I will say though is this: what we care about first is making sure that the game itself is actually healthy and that we have a strong player base first, right? So we're not going to go in with launching our games with like a full esports ecosystem in the same way that we do with League of Legends. We're first going to start by making sure that we have a healthy player base, making sure that the game launches properly, testing out sort of the grassroots competitive scene, and then starting to figure out organically how we develop those esports, right?
Talking about Wild Rift, we've been getting a lot of questions like before. Will like past LoL players get some like bonuses for Wild Rift? I know it's a new game, but
so the answer is a little bit complicated, but the short answer is yes. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to link the League of Legends experience in Southeast Asia to the new Riot accounts, right? But what we will do is to make sure that all Southeast Asian players who sign up for Wild Rift at launch will be granted, rewards that are on the same level as the rest of the world. We don't know exactly what those are yet because we're still working through the details. But our goal is to make sure that Southeast Asian players, are treated equally, right, and feel good about what they've invested in the game so far.
Will LoL Mobile be cross-platform with PC?
So it will be cross-platform with, outside of Southeast Asia. But unfortunately in Southeast Asia and China, which are two different account systems, they won't be cross-platform.
we've also talked about you said about community. Is there something within Wild Rift that you can cater to, like building clans or in terms of achievements, like local rankings, some sort of?
I think we're still working through some of those details now. But what I will tell you is that we are looking at what the best features are of existing mobile MOBAs and starting to imagine how we integrate those into the system. So I can't comment exactly or confirm, but I can tell you that we look very closely at what other games are doing, and we spend a lot of time in Southeast Asia in particular trying to make sure that folks understand the ecosystem, that the developers understand what we're doing in Southeast Asia so they can replicate those same features.
So when it comes to Wild Rift, right, it's kind of late to the scene in the sense that there's a lot of League of Legends mobile players out there, like unveiled and Mobile Legends, and these already have established player bases and pretty pretty good community support in areas like this. So what does Wild Rift offer, besides being made by Riot Games themselves? What does it offer that differentiates itself from these alternatives that are already present in the market for 3-4 years?
I think you'll actually get the chance to play the game later today and to sort of get a chance to experience it for yourself. I don't know, Jennifer, what would you say?
I think, even though, of course, it's been built from the ground up, it's a very authentic League experience. And so, people who maybe their lifestyles have changed since when League launched 10 years ago and need to play in a different way can now play Wild Rift and reintroduce that in their lives. But also, I think that we offer a really in-depth, backstory and character and storytelling in ways that maybe some of these other games may not have the bandwidth to invest in. So with our League champions, not only can you interact with them in the game itself, but there's so many different touch points. Like you saw Arcane, the new animated series that'll come out. So if someone plays it and they experience a new champion for the first time, there's so much more that you can find out about it. And that League kind of lore that's built up over the past 10 years is available and accessible to them. So I think that will really set them apart.
Is Arcane an in-house production, or are you working with an animation studio?
we're working with a partner animation studio, and I can get you that name. I just don't remember it off the top of my head.
You also acknowledged in your introduction speech about how the development of the games were the worst kept secret. So now that they're finally out there and legit, can you speak a bit about how long were these games how early were these games being developed? Just so we have an idea of just the lead time that you guys had before today's announcement.
Yeah, no. For a very long time, I would actually say, I actually think that the card game Legends of Runeterra, prototypes of it were started 6 years ago. 6 years.
But then they were kind of like, so the idea started 6 years ago, and then that one was scrapped, and another one built. So this one, the actual Legends of Runeterra that you see now, has been in development for 2 to 3 years. Right. You know, there are earlier iterations that got completely scrapped, and so I think that's the thing about Riot, where we have, yes, been thinking about new games for a long time, and ideas have been in development, but at the same time, we've kind of killed 10 games for every one that you're seeing now. So the development timeline of most of these things are, the past few years in terms of actually developing the mechanics in these games.
And what I'll tell you guys is, to the earlier question of what does a game like Wild Rift bring in a pretty crowded market. You could also say the same thing about card games, right? Like for Legends of Runeterra, card games have been out for a very long time. What is it that we have to bring to the table? And I think that one of the things that's really important is that for every game that we design and every game that we put out to market, it's very important to us that there's a couple of core tenets that are made. So everything needs to be free to play, right? We never monetize on power. All of those games have strong competitive integrity. There's no we invest a lot in anti-cheat, right? We invest a lot in the community. And then also I think that the other piece is that we kind of think of the way that we develop and build our products as an ongoing conversation with our players. If you look at the development of League over time, the League that started 10 years ago and the League now was informed by so many of the ideas and the feedback and the criticism from the community. And we expect that the same thing will happen for all of our future games.
So why now and why all at once?
Why now and why all at once?
Figured we might as well get it all out.
Nice.
I think that if I just had to sort of summarize from my own perspective, I think that there's just been so many rumors about what is Riot building, when are they going to talk about it, are they going to play? And so, we could have parsed it out in little chunks, but this way we can just talk about everything, and then you guys know all the details of the things that we're working on. And we'll be able to talk about some things in greater detail than others, but this way we can go to partners like you guys and actually talk about what are the things that we're building. Right? So, and we also think that from a player perspective, it's really exciting. Like I have the feeling that the internet is exploding right now. So
Arcane is one of the biggest surprise. Where will it be available? What channels are it?
So we don't have a distribution plan that we can talk about just yet. What we're trying to do is to make sure that where we distribute throughout the world is where players are. So we'll stay tuned in terms of that distribution plan, but we're working very closely to make sure that players are able to see it where they want to see it.
Will it be available on video on demand? Are you planning on?
I'm not sure that I can comment on that just yet, but as soon as I am, we'll get back to you with the details.
How about how many episodes and episode length? Are those details?
So, no details of them. We did announce a lot of things, but some of it today was just to kind of let you guys know what we're working on, but each of the details of those projects will be coming out at a later time.
By the way, a lot of anime fans would prefer Japanese language. Would it be Japanese language or English?
So Arcane will be in English.
In English.
Which console will Wild Rift be coming out for? Are you able to share?
We're working through what that plan is right now, but we can't confirm exactly where it's going to be yet until we confirm with those partners.
Okay. But you said console in plural, right? It's not.
Yes.
And the plan for Wild Rift is also to be cross-platform, or?
So just to clarify, Wild Rift is actually not going to be cross-platform with League of Legends.
PC, yeah.
But will it be cross-platform with other Wild Rift games or other consoles?
So if you're playing Wild Rift on, say, a console device, and you're playing Wild Rift on mobile, it should hypothetically.
Okay, that's awesome.
So it's basically the same game.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll tell you is that, so TFT, for example, will be cross-platform, the game between PC and mobile. But when we built Wild Rift, we had to create a very different game. So they're not the same game. They don't talk to each other in the same ways.
And that's why it's called Wild Rift. So it's not called League of Legends. For mobile, it's called Wild Rift because it is a new game.
Is the cross-platform going to be also available for? Is that also the plan for Project A?
I can't comment yet on what the plan is for Project A, otherwise Anna, who you saw in the screen, will kill me. I can tell you, though, that we are looking very closely about how to make sure that players can play it the way that they want to play it.
And are any of the games already in calendared for like the first quarter of next year, or?
Jennifer,
We'll have to,
lovely
yes.
head of watch, is in charge
Update you
of
on timelines again. Yeah. Unfortunately, today it's just about announcing the games, and we'll have more details.
I looked to Jennifer about what I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
Can we talk about something about the technicalities in terms of hardware? What's like the minimum spec for a phone to run Wild Rift? And of course, there will be like some sort of localization in terms of languages, especially in Southeast Asia.
Yes. We do have a rough idea of an spec. I think some of that can be answered by the Wild Rift team, which is over there, and they can answer some of those details. And of course, we will be looking to localize our key Southeast Asian languages the way that we do here.
How about SEA Games? What's your perspective in joining the Olympics?
Yeah, well, of course, our esports teams are very much in conversations with whether it's the SEA Games or the IOC all the time. I think this year it wasn't the right time for us because it clashed with Worlds, and so just the timing didn't work out. And Chris Tran can talk to you more about that, which is why we're not part of it this year, but we're always open to speaking with them.
That doesn't rule out that we
Yeah.
look to join other regions. Just the timing was off between this and Worlds.
Yeah.
But in the next few years,
Potentially.
definitely.
Yes.
Comments, feedback, reactions?
Which game are you guys the most excited about?
Wild Rift,
Wild Rift.
Wild Rift.
Project A.
Yeah.
Also the anime.
Yeah.
Expecting that.
The anime is really exciting. It's really good.
Is it going to be more like origin stories or more current sort of story development?
I'm trying to think about what I could exactly comment on, but what I will say is that it will take the lore that already exists in the game and flesh out that world in much more detail.
Will it ever be ahead of, or sorry, I guess what I'm asking is, will there be more of a, will they prioritize sort of a synergy with upcoming seasons, or is that something
will
that
we
they
make sure
have?
that the world is consistent? Is that the question? Or
Not just
Saying,
consistent,
will
but
it
like,
tease the future,
yeah,
right?
sort of like that, exactly.
I think we don't quite know where the full series will go. Like from what you saw, you could see that it was like every champion has an origin, which was the tagline. So that's the immediate focus of like the initial season.
in full disclosure, I've only seen 3 episodes, so I still don't know how it ends,
And the story team are all Riot, or do they get like some people from the industry, I guess, more animation?
We're working
veterans?
with a variety of folks in terms of the development, and we'll get back to you with the exact details of how that will work. But I'll tell you that for all of the games that are within the Runeterra universe, all of those teams work pretty closely to make sure that the worlds are consistent. So between Wild Rift and Legends of Runeterra, Legends of Runeterra, for example, also has places that build out the world of League in ways that are not in League, right? And Wild Rift also builds out that world. So everything is going to be consistent and tied together. Because if you think about it, the universe that we're building isn't just like, oh, there's an anime. It's like there's the anime, there's the card game, there's the mobile MOBA, there's the comics that are coming out, there's the music. It all has to be tied together. And so there's a team that works very closely to make sure those are all talking to each other.
So wrapping up the interview in any last questions, then we'll just swap around. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and we will just consolidate everything how to respond as well. Alright?
Oh, one question is it?
Ano ba siya?
Okay, yeah. So you watched, you guys have watched part of Arcane, right? So in your own words, can you describe what the show is like in terms of genre, in terms of what types of shows it resembles?
I'll say that we designed Arcane to be primarily for existing League fans. So the themes of it, I would say, are more mature rather than what you would imagine just from it's definitely more in the anime style, right, which deals with more mature themes rather than say the cartoon style.
Will it be accessible to people who don't play the game?
I believe that the answer is yes. I think it remains to be seen when the first actual test. But yes, I think that the character development and art stays on. Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.